back by popular request on the channel, I have decided to wake up this morning, chuck on some Selena Gomez on my speaker, followed by some Tate McRae, and then put on this KFC bucket hat to film this video because you guys really liked it. You guys told me how sexy it was. I don't know if that's because of the guy who's wearing it or because it's signed by the Lord and Savior, the GOAT himself, Dion Prestia, who I have to tell you, when I got him to sign this, he looked at me like I wasn't all mentally there. I'm not even going to capture you guys right now. Again, I think I was like 19 when I got it done. A 19-year-old bloke getting players to sign your stuff. You know, sometimes you do get a couple of looks already, and then it gets even weirder when you don't have anything for them to sign. So you give them your KFC bucket hat that you just got. Again, I've talked about this on the channel, but maybe I'll have to give them away eventually to those who leave a like and subscribe to the channel. So if you guys haven't done that already, make sure you do that, because eventually we might have to give away this Dion Prestia signed bucket hat to a lucky Richmond fan who will probably do nothing with it but throw it in a corner collecting dust. But again, eventually when we enter that competition, you guys got to be subbed and liked, so go and do that if you haven't already. But in today's video, I've got an interesting topic to talk about. A lot more draft news for the Richmond Football Club. Here's some stuff that we have not yet heard. And again, this is being reported by Callum Toomey and whatnot, posted by Tiger Ambush. So if you guys do not follow Tiger Ambush out on Instagram yet, highly recommend it. He posts a lot of good, juicy content for us Richmond fans to feast our eyes on. But he actually says Toomey has linked very closely Beau Allen to Richmond. I'd hope he's not a flight risk, given he'd be going around 10 or 11. Considering we've just lost two of our best players to go back home to WA, is it really a good idea grabbing another WA player when there is a ton of Vic talent available? I say no. So again, that was of course the post by Tiger Ambush, but the takeaway from this is Callum Toomey is saying that Richmond are extremely interested in, Beau Allen here, and this is coming from a guy who has really knocked a lot of his projections out of the park, and a lot of them have been true. For those of you who don't know anything about Beau Allen, he is a 191 centimeter midfielder / defender from Western Australia, currently ranked number 11 on the AFL Phantom Draft, which his last month's ranking was 12. It says that Allen's athleticism is at the extreme end, a point he proved at the draft combine when he finished in the top 5 for the running vertical jump, standing vertical jump, and agility test. It's one reason clubs rate him very highly, but more so, he can play as a taller rebounder from defense, as well as a big, bustling midfielder. He played in Peel's Waffle Premiership and didn't look out of place with and against senior opponents, and will be looking to make an immediate impact in the AFL. Now, where does he go? With more interest coming from Richmond, Port Adelaide, West Coast, and Melbourne, Allen looks right in demand midway through the first round. St Kilda could also consider him with its 2 top 10 picks. The Eagles didn't move back down the draft order with him specifically in mind. So that's kind of interesting that a team from WA who moved back in the draft order isn't specifically looking at Beau Allen. Again, they're looking at him, but they're not specifically looking at just him as the player that they could be getting in this draft. Now, do I think Richmond should be going for Beau Allen? Is this a good idea? And look, if they drafted him, I wouldn't be surprised. But in saying that, I think there are players that I would prefer to take over, just based off the reason I think Beau Allen is going to add something to Richmond that they don't really need, especially if the draft goes how I think it's going to. Again, if Richmond get Sam Lawler at 1, like it is being said, a 187 centimeter inside midfielder, they maybe go a Josh Smiley or a, Harvey Langford, both players who they are really linked to and really interested in at pick 6, who also happen to be tall inside midfielders. I feel like it would be weird to have a third one come in Beau Allen, considering you've already got you know, as we've seen Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper in there, also taller midfielders, and Jack Ross, who stands at, I believe, 187 centimeters tall. I feel like you need to add some more speed, some more smaller midfielders in that team, and I feel like they're just better suited off going with a guy like Xavier Lindsay, who, don't get me wrong, has had a ton of injury problems himself, but happens to be arguably the best ball user in this draft and is a much quicker, fast-paced inside midfielder than I believe what Beau Allen happens to be. Again, I could maybe see this if Richmond took Beau Allen and decided to have him as a backman, but again, I just feel like Richmond, if they're going to go for a taller backman like an Alex Taru, it's to play on bigger opponents, but of course still add that run. Beau Allen would go on the medium-sized opponents, I would say, but also I feel like Richmond already have a lot of those taller defenders like Noah Bolter, Josh Gibcus, Tyler Young, Nathan Broad, Nick Floston, where I think now it might be a point of emphasis for them to add a half-back, more so like a Trevor Galea, or however you say his name, I completely forgot, rather than a Beau Allen, just in my opinion. But the fact is, we are finally hearing now of some guys that Richmond could be looking at that 10 or 11 mark. And don't get me wrong, maybe I would like to see Beau Allen go to Richmond if they go with a smaller guy at pick 6, you know, or even if Sam Law for some reason doesn't go at 1. But I don't think that's the reality of things. I think Richmond are set on going much taller with those first 2 picks. Where I think let's keep it cool here and maybe take a Xavier Lindsay at 10 or 11, unless they think he's going to fall down to, you know, 19 or 20 or whatever. Whenever Richmond, I think, have their next pick, I think it's 20. But again, I don't think he will. I know he's had a lot of injuries, but a lot of teams like him. So yeah, Beau Allen is getting a lot of interest from Richmond. I don't think it is a thing where it's like Richmond won't take this guy because he's not from Victoria. I think Richmond are very confident in their abilities, keeping people from not Victoria. But I think it's more so this might be a thing where they don't really need him. Again, another thing the Tiger Ambush posted is a bit of a discussion thing, saying that something Richmond must seriously consider in the next few years is signing our promising draftees to long-term extensions. Every first-round player signs a 3-year deal when they're drafted. 3 years just happens to be the year that Tasmania come into the competition. They've been very open already about poaching promising young players from other clubs. Now, I'm aware that contracts these days might not seem to mean a lot, but if you do look at the stats, you'd see that a good 95% of players stick to their contracts. It's so important that the draftees that look like integral parts of our future are signed to long-term extensions so they don't fall out of contract when the Devils enter the competition and have an insane amount of cash to splash. Of course, I'm not too sure if Tiger Ambush realizes, but he dead set just turned into Eminem at the end of that and just started rapping, which makes me want to touch myself religiously because, yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I like it when a bloke turns something into a good poem. Not really. I don't know where I'm going with this video. I just want to talk shit, apparently. But I think this is some level of concern, but not as much level as concern as I think we all think it could possibly be. I mean, realistic thing is Tasmania, I think by 2027, we'll have Colby McKercher to look at from North Melbourne. They'll have Riley Sanders from the Western Bulldogs to look at. They'll have a guy like Ryan Mansell from Richmond to look at, a guy like Toby Nankervis from Richmond to look at, etc., etc. A ton of good Tasmania homegrown talent. But yes, they will have Victorians to look at, but I think they're going to go for the bigger fishes like I think Noah Anderson, who's out of contract by then, who could be looking for a massive payday by a team like Tasmania, or could be looking at certain other players here and there as well. Again, the only thing that would probably stop them from really going after Noah Anderson is if he re-signs by then, or AFL don't want it to be a conflict of interest type of thing. And considering they own Gold Coast and they'll own Tasmania, they probably won't want to take a player from a team that they own who has had very minimal success. They'll probably want to go and take a player from a team who is owned by the members, like a team like Richmond, like, again, I think every other team nearly in the AFL other than Gold Coast, West Coast, Freo, and, of course, GWS. So yes, topic for concern, Probably. I would be more so thinking Richmond would lose guys like Toby Nankervis and Ryan Mansell more than anything, who will most likely all still be playing by then. I mean, Toby Nankervis just had one of his best seasons yet. He's only like 30, I think. The captain of the club, the Tasmania Football Club, will be looking for leaders by then. Yeah, but I understand where Tiger Ambush is coming from here. We do need to lock away players long term, because if they have 1 or 2 good years, you're going to want to extend them for years beyond that anyway, that you know you've got this young core for the long ride, and you can really start to figure out how you're going to plan your contracts in the future. So I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Sam Lawler or whatever, whoever Richmond take high, has a good first year. If Richmond say to them, look, we'll give you a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th year, and you'll be contracted for the club for another 5 years. Would literally not be surprised at all. I think the Tigers will look to make a couple of moves like that going forward. But again, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest AFL content, AFL news, all of the above. Don't forget to check out my IRL/vlogging channels, my gaming channel, and subscribe to this sports channel if you haven't already. Everything else though will be linked down below. And yeah, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.